All right, we are live for our first webinar of UiFlow's um, weekly Build Anything. So this week we're going to be building a Shopify um, dashboard uh, inside of UiFlow. So this is Matt, myself, and Matt. So Matt, maybe you can introduce yourself. Sounds good. Sorry, give me a second. Yeah, my name is Dami. I'm a designer here at UiFlow, and yeah, happy to get started. Um, so give me a second here. So yeah, we can start by adding some elements into um, the flow. So I'm gonna start by adding a nav bar in here. So so we have our nav bar, which is great. And then next, I think we can drag in a hero section, and then after that, I think we can move over to Logic to maybe start displaying some products in these inside of this page here, just in our collection. So I'm just going to go inside of the Logic workspace. And Matt, yeah, if you don't mind helping me, just add in some products down here for the collection. Okay, I think it should be working now.
You think it should be working now? We're back. Audio.
Okay,
Just got some audio.
let's maybe restart it.
All right. Yay.
I think we should start from the beginning, just because there's some audios.
Okay. Do you want me to delete these then? I'm just gonna create this.
Yeah, I think we should start from the beginning.
Right.
All
Yeah.
right. Sorry for the technical issues. Yeah, we're just gonna restart. All right, so I'll drag in a hero section into the page. 1 second. Not sure why it's not dropping in. Do you want to try adding the hero section?
What was it, David? Sorry.
I'm just gonna drag in the nav and the hero section from the release. Oh, sorry. I thought you were gonna drag it in.
Oh, sorry. Drag it in. Drag in this nav bar. And then do you want to do the hero section, or we do the hero section?
I think is it under patterns?
Hero section.
Perfect.
Go. And then can add in. Alright, so we have our nav bar in our hero section. So now what we're going to do is we're going to re-add in our collections. So in this homepage, what we're doing is we're going to be grabbing all of the collections available on our storefront. So all our data, we're going to get that through Xano. So I'm going to drag in our get all collections Xano API. And then what we're going to do is in our logic workspace, we're going to say on page load. So I'm going to click and drag. We're going to call our API. And then we're going to say on a successful API call, I'm going to set the items in our collection. Then I'm going to pass our data response, specifically the array of all the collections, into our all collections here, so into the specific collection that we have. And then I'm going to quickly refresh, and we'll see that now we have our collections coming back from our database. So specifically what we have here is 4 different product collections. So we have our bags, computers, shoes, and sofas. And so each of one of them, what we're doing in our collection, so I can see the specific data that I get back is an array of all the collections, and specifically grabbing the title and then the image that goes along with it. And then to get all of the number of products in that specific collection, for each one of the collections, we're doing another API call where we're grabbing all of the products, the number of products in each of the collection, then passing that into our button here. So that's showing up this text. So now what we can do is design our specific collection details page. So that page is going to say, hey, if someone clicks on a specific collection, then we're going to show all of the products and the specific product details of those pages of that specific collection. So I'm going to pass it back to Dami if you want to design the specific collection page.
Great. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we'll need to bring back our navbar. I'm not sure why my video is being a bit slow, so I might need you to help me with that part. I can speak to it.
So
yeah, definitely.
Navbar.
Great. And then I think we just had a collection of products.
All right, so I will redesign that really quick. So we have collection. I'm just going to add some padding, and collection is a way for us to grab all the instances of all the products in here in this specific collection. So I'm going to drag in a container, I'm going to add some padding to the container, and for the details of each of the collections, we want is an image and then 3 different text elements. So we're going to just duplicate those 3, and then going to wrap them in a container so I can add some spacing in between them, just 10. And so this is just a very basic kind of card. So a specific product card, and I'm going to add a background here. Great, so then now what we're going to do is essentially populate this collection for each one of the products in the specific collection. And one thing I wanted to call out here, so this is our collection details page, so it is dependent on which collection, with the information, the data is going to be dependent on which collection we're actually selecting, and we're dynamically passing that in. So if you double click on the collection page, you'll see the properties here. And so we have collection, and then / and this is our collection ID is this dynamic parameter that we're grabbing in. And we do that in our notation using the colon, so colon, then collection ID. So now I'm going to go into the logic workspace for our collection page, and I'm going to grab the Get Collection ID API specifically for this page. So I have this Get Collection ID, and so then I'm going to look for a Get Value. So what we're going to be doing here is getting the value at path. So specifically, we're going to be looking at our route params. So we know that the path, the variable that we're looking for is that collection ID, so that dynamic parameter that we set up in the page. And then, so I'm going to grab that, and then I'm going to put it into an object to then pass into this Get Collection ID API in this specific query parameter. So I'm going to use collection ID. Oh, actually, the parameter itself is _ID. So I'm going to take the value there, pass it into collection ID, and then this collection ID is going to be our query param for our API. So it's a similar idea. On page load, we're going to call our API, and then we're going to do on success, we're going to set the items of our collection, and then on the specific items, we are going to pass that into the collection. So we can see that there's nothing actually being connected here. So I'm going to add some actions. So in our logic workspace, we want to be dynamically passing this based on the data that we're getting back from our API. So on the image, I'm going to click this little actions menu, and so I'm going to set the source. And I'm going to kind of click and drag that so I can pass it up. And then for each one of these text elements, I'm going to do the same idea. So I'm going to set the label. And I'm going to set the label on all three of these. And I'm going to do these on each time the item is constructed. So I can actually create these together. And then, so this text is going to be the title. This one is going to be your body HTML. And then this one is going to be a tag. So I can rename any of these components using, you can click this little three dots and click rename, or you can see our shortcut of Command R. So then I'm going to expose all of these labels. Go up one more level. And on item constructed, we're going to set all of the items, and we're going to set the image stored. So now we just have to decide, show which data we actually want to pass into those. So I'm going to grab another get value at path, and I'm going to take the items. And I know based on, I can do a quick refresh here. Actually, I'm going to go back to our home page. I'm going to click bags. And so we can see that, oops. We can see now, we can see that our route param, we can see that we grabbed the collection ID, passed it into our next get collection by API, and we get the response of all the products here. So I know I'm looking for the title, the body HTML, and then the tags. So, oh, and then the other one that I'm looking for here is the actual image. So I know it's under image.src. So I'm going to do image.src. I'm going to pass that into the image source. And then I'm going to do a get values. So this is going to allow us to deconstruct this object without grabbing it or from in one single component. So I have the title, the body underscore HTML, and the tags. So now I connect my title to my title label, HTML, and then tags. So now, if I were to go back to our home page and I click on bags this time, I can now see that, hey, now the two, I now am getting that data directly from, with all the products in our specific bags collection. So we can see that by looking at collection. You see that the data is coming back and we're passing it into our specific collection for each one of those products. David, is there anything you want to add to this design?
No, we can go through design afterwards. I think we can just go through the page. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to add one more thing here. And how I'm going to do that is, so if we wanted to add essentially like an authentication, so I'm going to do a quick little login page. So I'm going to grab our patterns. We have a kind of login form. And so, oops, one, there it is, our login form. So it's just a basic email, password, and login. And so I'm going to go into our form here. And what I'm going to do is now pass the auth. So in our Connect workspace, we have an ability to configure our auth. So we're going to be using auth 0. And so you click configure, and then you can fill out your domain and your client secrets and IDs. And then we'll use essentially our generic authentication. So what I'm going to do is then say on submit, going to log in, and then depending on when user is logged in, we want to go to the actual home page. Actually, we need to do admin. We'll build the admin page after this. So on login, we will go to the admin page. And then on log out or login here, we will stick to this login page. See that Damien is adding some designs. So I'm building out the nav bar and working on the design aspect of it. Cool. So now that we have our login page, I'm going to quickly build out the admin page that we're going to be sending our users to. So if you're an admin user, we will just do a quick tab. So we'll have just a quick page that has a couple of tabs. So in our design workspace, I'm going to grab some tabs. Oh, you already did that. Sorry, Jamie.
Oh no, I didn't do anything. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. My bad. I saw it twice there. Okay, so grabbing our tabs. So first we'll just see our orders, and then the second one will be create a product. So we have our tabs here, and then we're going to add our tab panels. So put that underneath. And so the way that these are going to work, so essentially once we switch tabs, it uses an index of the containers in the tab panels component. So you can see in our tab panels in the layer side, we have two different containers here. So the first index is going to be the first one, and then so this is going to correspond to tab 1, and this one is going to be tab 2. So I'm going to make this container just a full size, and I'm going to drag in a data table. So our first tab is going to show us all of the orders that we have. So just simple. I'm just going to add some padding here real quick. And then our second tab is going to be a form. And the way I can use this design is, so this is my tab 1. If I go to tab panels, I can select this one. And so now I can design my second tab. And so I'm going to just make this a simple form. I'm going to delete these guys and drag in a text input. And so I'm just going to duplicate this a few times and then add a button. Oops. I'm going to make this forms hug. And so we know we need a title. The other thing that we need is the body. And we need the product. And then the vendor. Cool. So now I'm going to go back into our tab panels, back to 0. And so now, in this, going to go to the logic workspace for our admin page. So we're on our admin page, and we're going to go when the tab is changed, we're going to get select ID and set that index to the tab panels. So now, if you can see in our preview here, we have orders and create a product. So there's just an easy way to navigate using tabs, navigate different panels. So now that we have this set up, if we see our login page, I'm going to do a quick publish. So one thing, if I were to just click login, in our preview, we do fake authorization, so we don't expose any keys or anything. So we'll see that, hey, it fired and I'll log in, and now we went to our admin page. If you want to test your authentication, one way to do that would you have to actually then publish. I'm just going to publish our development environment. So give that a second to publish. And Damien, is there any other design elements that you wanted to design here while this does a quick publish?
I think it's fine. I think we could maybe look at the response data for the order and then match the column or yeah the rows. But yeah, the column names actually.
Cool. There. Just going to do that really quick. Yeah, so as Danny mentioned in our data table, so we're actually now going to grab the API where we're going to get all of our orders data. So we have a REST API that's going to get our orders. So I'm just going to drag that in now. And so I'm going to drag it in our tab tab 1. And I'm going to expose this out. And then what we're going to say, just on page load, we're actually going to call our get orders because it's our first default tab. So I'm going to call this. And then on success, I want to set the rows of my data table. And I want the response to be the actual rows. So if I reload this now, it looks like there is an issue there. Data table. But if I were to look at our specific response, so I see what happened here is that our response is actually in the orders. So I need to grab a get value at path. So instead of this data table takes in an array of data. So I need to now pass the value into the rows. I see my response, see that there is actually orders. So I need the orders path to actually get that to work. And then, so now if I refresh, now I can see that my data is now actually showing up in our data table, the value in the specific order. So now we are going to map which fields we actually want to show in our data table. So in a specific order, we have a contact email. So we match our contact email. Our data table looks like we have currency. So we have our currency. And then, so what other data do you want in your
Yeah,
data table?
I started adding them. Yeah, we can test.
Name.
Yeah, we can test it.
The way that we do that is in our data table. We have that selected. If you click our little gears, our state, so our columns we can either dynamically set or we can just hard code which fields we actually want to show up. So we have name, and there's other things that we wanted to do. We could add confirmed. So if I wanted to add another field here, I could do, oops. Go field. And I want the, and I'll see if okay, these ones are all true. So for each one of these users. Perfect. So now in this data table, the other configurations that we can have are we can paginate it if we want. We can change the page size to let's say 25. You can make it sortable. So now if I make all of these sortable or filters, and I can also, if I wanted to make them selectable, we can make that a checkbox there too. But so this is just a very simple admin kind of page that you could create. So I can see the live preview right here, but I can also pop it out in a new window if I wanted to see a full screen here. So I can see my orders, see that it's paginated, and then if I wanted to create a product, I can do that here as well, just by flipping the tabs.
Great. Matt, why don't we go through all of the pages and try to just make the design look more responsive and a bit better? Yeah. So we can collaborate together on that. Maybe you can preview it in the Logic workspace.
Yeah.
Could you maybe? Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, and then we can resize that. So I'll start with some desktop update. Um, and I'll watch your screen. All right, so we could also make it full screen. I guess the preview.
Oh,
Yeah, that works too. Great. So I'm just
cool.
adding something to the home.
There you go. You can see Jimmy's
Cool.
updating the design. And we'll see that show up in this live preview as well.
Cool. We have products down here, right? Or down below on this page.
Yes. Yeah. Just get refresh. Yeah, they're there. They are really big.
Interesting. Yeah, let's maybe make this container a bit smaller.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna modify that area. Right now it's a table or a grid, sorry, not table. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
make it four columns. Should be updated.
So now it's like we can see that Demi made a change to our collection essentially. So anytime that happens, we'll get a quick little toast saying, "Hey, something changed there." We can quickly refresh, and now we see them across.
Great. I'm just trying to update the size of the container. But it's in a reusable. I'm just gonna update the touch instance. All right, so I think our homepage is pretty much done after the refresh.
All right. Yeah. So we have our nav bar, a quick little hero section here, and then each of our collections down below.
Sweet.
So now if we, yeah, so this is our homepage. Now we have each of these clickable. So if we were to click on choose, we'll now see it will take us to that collection details page that we had. So
Let's fix this page.
yeah, we're going to fix this design, but we can see that the data is coming back and we can see that, hey, we have an image. We have 3 products in this. And now it looks like Danny is making changes on the design workspace. Refresh. See that our data is showing.
Would it be possible to add a label with the title of the collection?
Yeah, add that at the top.
How do we make it the text dynamic?
Yeah, so in our design workspace, so we have our title here. So collection title, and the same way how we were passing our data in to our specific product. So here's our collection title, and then you can see that we have a set label action. So what we're going to do is now go to the logic workspace. We have our specific set label here. So we're going to say on successful API call. So we're going to connect that, and then can do a get value path from the response. So I'm going to do,
Should we maybe try it in the Connect workspace as well? Is that possible?
yeah, we can do that. So um, we get a collection by ID. So in our Connect workspace, so this is going to just be a test. So we're going to use our get collection by ID API. So we're going to specifically use this test collection. So I can click send. And then let's see, our response gives us
Does it give us a name?
the collection title. No, it does not. No, it's just giving us all the products. So that would be one thing that we could, just for use example, we can modify the response of our API. So that's one thing we
Okay,
can
no
add
worries.
in to our response.
No worries. Yeah, no worries. Just wondering. Cool, cool, cool. Actually, no, we do get it from another page there, right? It's on the homepage itself.
Yeah, it's on the homepage. There's a couple of ways we could navigate that way.
We can also
I
skip
think,
this. Skip the
yeah,
step.
let's skip that one for now and come back to it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. So on the collection page itself, we updated the spacing in the preview. Try to see what else we should. I think we should also put this inside of a grid. So let's do 3 columns. Not everything has multiple products, but let me just check. Do you mind checking the preview?
Yep. So I'm going to do
Like,
refreshing. Yeah, it looks like this one has 3 products.
cool, cool, cool. I guess we can remove or add spacing between each column. 16.
Yeah, you can see that they're touching. So for refresh, we'll have some spacing in between. It's great.
I think the padding on top is way too much. I probably added too much.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. There's like extra space. Let's see why. Oh, I think I know why. The page is centered. That's why.
Yeah.
I like the default. Has to match that.
So
Okay, sweet.
perfect. Awesome. So now we have our collection page. So if we were to go back to our home page and I click through again, so we have our home page. We'll click our shoes collection. Brings us here, and we see the specific products within that shoes collection.
Great. I think we didn't add the product page.
So if we wanted to take that a step further, so kind of 3 layers of of our all the collections, and then you can drill into a collection, and then if you wanted to then add one more to drill it into the products, that's something we could add as well. So then if we go to a product page, it's empty, but we can see that we have a similar to how we did the collection, where we have the collection and then the collection ID. So this one's going to be product, and then we're going to dynamically pass in that product ID as well. So, Tim, if you want to design this page, I will work on the actual passing of the collection.
Yeah, definitely.
So, if I go back to my collection page, collection details page, inside my collection, I'm going to add a variable. And I'm just going to set a variable to each, to the actual, all the data of a specific item. And then what I'm going to do is do a get value at path. And I'm going to grab, essentially what I'm going to be doing here is when someone clicks on a specific product in the collection, I want to then send it to the product details page that Damien's were designing, and then and I'm going to do that based on which product is actually clicked. So I'm going to grab the ID of the product within this collection, and then I'm going to do a string template. So I know that I want the ID. So I'm going to do the get value at path. Path is specifically ID. And then the string template is going to allow me to dynamically decide which page to actually go to. So this template, so I can dynamically pass in using the syntax of $, curly bracket, the name of the parameter. So I'm going to name this product ID, and then close curly bracket. But I know the URL is actually /product/product ID. So then I'm going to rename this node to match the product ID. So this is what I'm going to dynamically pass in. So I can create that node to dynamically pass it in. So I'm going to take the ID from my variable for this specific collection, pass it to my string template. Then I'm going to find a go to page. And I'm going to pass the output of the string template because it is the specific page URL, pass it into the page so we can dynamically populate which page to send the user. And then for the sake of time here, I would normally wrap this in a button or make this in each card into a button. But for the sake of time here, I'm going to add an action. So when someone clicks this container, so I can search all the actions that I have available for this container. If I do on click, I can then say when someone clicks this container, they go to that page. And the specific page I'm going to is grabbing the ID from the product that I'm in within this collection, and then it's going to send me there.
Great.
So
I created some designs.
In the meantime, Damien was able to design a simple product details page. So we have the product image and then some title and some HTML there. And so now that I'm going to go in this logic workspace of the product page, and then the similar to how we did on the collection details page, I'm going to grab the ID from the route param. So I'm going to say on the route param, I want the product ID. And then I'm going to pass that into my get product by ID API. So I really want these, but I want more details about this product. So I'm going to then on page load, call this API, and then I'm going to actually create an object to pass into my API. So I want this to be product underscore ID. I'm going to then pass the product ID to this object and pass that into the query param. And then I'm going to say on successful API call, I want to set the image, I want to set the HTML, and I want to set the, wrong one, the title. And I want to jump back into my workspace here. And I'm going to take a look at the data. So one thing that we can do in this workspace, so I can see the test product. And there's little checkboxes here. So I can actually, if I uncheck and check specific part of the response object, I'm going to create that node here. So instead of previously having to do the get value at paths to really deconstruct this object, I can just do that directly in here by doing a checkbox. So I want the title, I want the body HTML, and I want the vendor. And then if I even go further down, I see price, and I want to expose. So then I can see here. So my title is my first one there, body HTML, and then the variance here is going to be the price. So I'm going to not connect it. So I have my title. Oops. To grab that one up. So I'm going to my title and then my HTML. Do one more check for image. This guy at the bottom. So I can make that change. I'm going to publish it here. So now I should see my image there. Cool. So now what I've done is I've taken the route param of the product ID, passed it into my query param of my get product by ID API, and then I've now passed it into each of the text, each of the UI elements that Debbie was able to create. So do a quick rundown from the start of what we've built today. So we have a home page with a header and a bar, and then we have an API to call all of the collections we have in our store. Let's say I click on the shoes. I'm going to get the details of all the products within my shoes collection. And then we can see that passed here. And then if we go one more layer deep, I can click on this classic leather jacket. And that's going to take me to this specific product detail page. And we could add more in more data that we're getting from the response, as we saw. So we could pass in the price and add more interactivity here. But it's just a quick little navigation of getting to the home page, seeing all your collections, and then getting a few layers deep into specific product details.
Yeah. And I think the admin side of things too is pretty interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, the other thing that we did was, don't know if I named that page. So just name this login. So the other thing that we did was we created a simple login page. And then when someone logs in, we have a quick little admin portal or admin dashboard that we can add some authentication to. We see the orders table, as well as then use tabs to switch between different designs here. And we could continue to add as many tabs if we wanted. Orders, creating a product, refunds. We could do anything we wanted to this admin panel.
Great.
So yeah.
That concludes our first webinar. Matt, any final words?
No, the only other final words. Sorry about the audio at the start, but we'll continue to be doing this on a weekly basis and building out more use cases. So feel free to reach out and look forward to hear what other people have to build.
Yeah. Um, same thing. Uh, sorry about the audio. And yeah, see you guys next week.
So thanks everyone.
Stop.